So right now you might be thinking that in order for you to innovate, you need money. But here's the thing about innovation is necessity is the mother of invention. So necessity, and that usually comes from not having the resources that you need to do something really big, tends to be the mother of invention. And I saw something amazing today on this show by Discovery Channel. It's called Undercover Billionaire. And it was just incredible how this lady who does eyebrows has been affected. Her business has been affected by COVID because people no longer go to the salon, but she's found an innovative way to actually still give her clients service and expand her business while during this whole quarantine period, because she's created a way in which she has turned her car into a salon for doing eyebrows. And while I was watching this, I just thought, oh my goodness, why do we usually wait until you have all the resources and everything that you need and all lights are green in order for you to actually do something innovative? So today, that's what I want us to talk about. So walk with me. So as a small business owner, sometimes you're faced with the task of having to figure out how to deal with times when they're not great. So what happens when your business is affected by COVID? Perhaps you used to do events and now you can no longer do events. So you're trying to figure out what are you supposed to do in the meantime. And I do have one of my students who used to do events, and she had to be innovative around how she pivoted her business and in times with what was happening. So people were indoors a lot more. So she decided to create a business that enables her to sell to people even as they're at home and give them an activity for them to do while they're at home. So innovation doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have a bigger budget. It just means that you need to stop looking at a problem or problems as problems and look at them as questions and ask yourself, how can I fix this? How can I still be profitable or still have a business under these new circumstances? So back to the woman in Undercover Billionaire who turned her car into a salon. She does eyelashes, and it's really interesting when I saw her working and just to see how she turned the passenger seat, so she reclines the passenger seat, and then she's able to get into the back seat of the car and work on her patient. Did I say patient? Client, while she's like in the back seat. So she's there, and I wish I could show you a clip, but if I do, then I'll have copyright issues with Discovery Channel. But it was really incredible to just watch her working and to see that everything that you actually need for a salon is right there, because she can recline the seat, so her client is lying this way, and then she's able to work on the client while from the position where she's working from the top, which is what she needs in order for her to do eyelashes. And then when she's done and the client needs to look at what kind of job she's done and whether it's good, she has a mirror in the visor that comes down. So right there is a mirror that she can use for her client to show her, to see how she's done the eyelashes. I thought that was really incredible, because now she's turned an asset that she had that would have been a liability if she wasn't working into an asset. So this car that's no longer moving around and serving her if she wasn't going to work, she now turned that into the business. I thought that was incredibly innovative. Yeah? And there's also, first, before I tell you now about my student and what she did, could you tell me in the comments what you think about this? Could you tell me, how innovative is this idea, or is it just me who thinks it's innovative? And then there's the lady who I told you about, who's one of my students, and she turned her events business. She used to do events, and that was her primary business. And then she started making customized jigsaw puzzles. And it came out of the idea that if people are at home, they need activities, they're buying games, they're spending a lot more time together as a family. So why not give them something that they can do together? So she started making customized jigsaw puzzles where the nostalgia you feel from looking at the pictures from your holiday, which you can no longer go to, or from a family gathering, which you can no longer have, now you can take those pictures and turn them into a puzzle and have fun assembling it as you hang out with friends and family. I thought that was really incredible what she did, and she's been able to have a lot of success and to turn that into a business that's standing on its own. And I'll put a link below this video where you can check out her page and see her puzzles and what she's able to do for you in case you want to get some. But the thing about innovation is that you don't have to wait until you have all the resources. In fact, sometimes having all the resources is not that great for you. And let me tell you why. So a lot of small business owners tend to go for venture capital or angel investors to fund their business, but no one's going to invest in your business without taking something in exchange, because they're taking a bet on you, but they have to get something else in return, and that's usually control. Which means that while you had this grand idea of how you're going to do things and how you're going to execute them, you now have to convince somebody else that that idea and the way you had planned to execute it is actually a good idea. So you have to give away control, and often that's the reason why sometimes businesses fail, because now they start to create these hindrances on the business. So while as a small business you have an advantage of being able to execute and do things really quickly, now you have to go through a process of a board, sometimes sending presentation papers, and while you're doing that, your competition is busy taking your idea and executing faster than you. So sometimes even getting that funding can actually be a disadvantage. Another thing about funding is that it makes you lazy, because if you have all the resources that you need, you don't really need to think innovatively. You can take shortcuts because you have the money, so you can afford to. And I must say, a lot of the best ideas came up from people who really did not have the resources and were on their last dime, and then they had to think innovatively about how to execute or how to, pivot their business. And I must say, check out that show, The Undercover Billionaire by the Discovery Channel. It's an amazing show to give you a very different perspective on how a business mogul, somebody who's made over $1 billion, goes into a town that they've never been to ever with $100 and a cell phone. And they have 90 days to make $1 million. So guys, it's possible to do that. When you're strapped for cash, you have to think differently. And that's the best part about being strapped for cash, is you have to think differently. You don't have room to come up with large marketing budgets. You have to do guerrilla stuff, do stuff that almost costs nothing but gets you a lot more attention. Use social media differently from somebody who actually has a budget. So that's the beauty about not having money and having to innovate with no budget. So if you're wondering, if you've been sitting there trying to figure out things just seem to be bigger than you and you're not able to solve them, and you can't see the answer to your problem or the solution to your problem, it's often because you're stuck to one direction. If you used to do events, you're stuck on how can I still do events. But if things have changed, then you have to change with the times and you have to roll with the times. That's the thing about being an entrepreneur, is you have to think on your feet and you have to be quick, and you can't let problems put you down. You can't be discouraged, and even if you're discouraged for a short period of time, you cannot let that put you down. You cannot let that stop you. So I hope this helps you. I hope it helps you look at things differently and ask yourself the question, how can I innovate with no budget? How can I create something out of nothing? I mean, the Undercover Billionaire, these guys they have 90 days to create wealth worth $1 million. $1 million in 90 days. And all they have is a cell phone, $100 or in an old pickup truck or an old truck. So yeah, that's all that they have. And you know, you have to see the show to see what happens. But it's very interesting to see how people have to think on their feet, especially people who know that they don't have a choice. So if you're like me and you need to make your business work and you don't have a trust fund or a safety net to help cushion you in case things go wrong, then you really need to think differently and you need to innovate, and you cannot let anything stop you. You cannot let rejection stop you. Like, if you watch this show, it's incredible how many times these guys got rejected and things didn't go as planned. But every time they had to keep thinking of new ideas because they're like, I cannot fail. I have 90 days to make $1 million. I cannot fail. And that's the thing that I really loved about the show. It's the fact that, like, these guys were so driven, but even in the midst of that, people who are not partaking in the show still had value to add to the whole business experience. And that's what I wanted to share with you. So I hope this has helped you, and I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you for subscribing and for liking this video. I love to create content that's of value to you and that will help you in your business journey. So, you know, give it a thumbs up if this resonated, and I would love to read your comment in the comment section, because then that will give me an idea of whether this was of value to you and what you think around this. And if you have any ideas for videos that you'd like me to make or questions that you'd like me to answer on air, I would love to do that. So put that in the comments below. And again, thank you, and I'll see you on the next video.